retwig your best broom, call the candy contractors about the leak in your roof, and invite those nice children from outside the forest for supper.
Because it's time to talk Tull to me.
Ha 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 ha.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Nick McGill.
And I'm Omen Sade.
We are Feckless Momes.
And this is Talk Tull to Me, the podcast where we mix together magical ingredients one by one to form the life-giving potion that is the work of Jethro Tull.
That's right. We examine all of the reagents and make sure each one is used properly and determine its best use and whether it's actually valuable or not.
And we fly on broomsticks. We fly on broomsticks.
Let's be clear about that.
We fly. We do that.
On broomsticks.
Yeah, we consort with the devil.
Did you ever see The Witch?
Which witch?
The movie The Witch. WYTCH.
Oh, I have not seen that.
Oh, it's so good. It's one of the better horror movies in recent years. It's so good.
Tune into our other podcast, Heckle Horror Movies to Me.
In parentheses, Nick references movies Omen's never heard of.
Well, you know, it does cut both ways.
Fair enough.
It sounds like a fine film, and I'm sure the teenagers who made it were very pleased with themselves.
I'm going to force you to see this film now because you are going to be so tail between legs.
Is it as good as Troll Hunters?
Yeah. Are you setting me up because you don't think Troll Hunters was a good movie?
No, I love Troll Hunters.
Oh, then yeah, it's up there with our favorites on that for sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So
I don't ever trust the words you say to me anymore.
Yes. So Nick, before we get into our song for today,
yes,
which is
Promise.
Which is The Witch's Promise, yes. Do we have any housekeeping to do?
We do. Oh, Mary, could you come over here, please? Mary, yep.
Oh, here are the papers.
Thank you, Mary. Very good. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Mary. Yes, so we've got our, as hinted last week, we've got our email.
Yay!
The subject is you, me, we, and some saucy flute action.
Oh my. Oh, wait a minute, Nick. Should we do like an email intro, like every time we have an email?
I feel like even if I said no, you would do it anyway, so go ahead.
I'm going to do it anyway.
You've got mail.
How was that?
I will clip it and save it.
Okay, great.
So this is...
Oh, wait a minute. Let me do one more.
Yeah, please.
Your emails, sir.
I like that one a lot, actually.
Yeah, let's see that one. Your emails, sir.
So this is from the chap who actually gave us the rating and review from iTunes, the new one. It is old Amby Jamby Cambies. AJ Kerrigan.
Yeah.
And I will read this delightful little email here.
Please do.
It says, "Hey there, Momes. Going into high school, I only knew Tull from their main hits on classic rock radio. Somehow I heard about Thick as a Brick and it pulled me down a Tull hole. You need to get that checked out. I went back as far as this was, but have heard only a few Stray songs after Heavy Horses. As for how I found your podcast, it was a crazy confluence of Tull occurrences. A Tullfluence? I like this guy. I like this guy. He's listened to enough of our stuff that he knows a good portmanteau will just tickle my ivories.
Go on.
Oh, even better. A Tullfluence? Thought I had a vaccine for that. Ugh! It's two in one go. That's perfect. I periodically revisit old Tull albums, most recently Minstrel in the Gallery. I was also revisiting the album Fandangos in Space from the flamenco prog band Carmen.
Oh my.
I will have to check them out. And holy hot damn, while reading more about Carmen, I learned that they opened for Tull on the War Child tour.
Oh.
That was how John Glascock got to know Ian Anderson and set the stage for him to join Tull when Carmen broke up.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
That's so cool.
Yeah. From deep in my Tull hole, I thought, hey, someone probably talks about Tull on a podcast. So I tried to search on a whim. Big money, no whammies, and I found you fine fellows. Not just an episode or two dedicated to Tull tunes, but a whole podcast dedicated to Tullery. I'm so glad to know about Ian Henderson's Bag of Nails and that bizarre Sweet Dream video. Thanks for talking Tull to other fans like me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks, AJ.
Yeah. Thanks very much.
So awesome to hear those. Send us emails. Make us feel good.
They just, you know what, really, every time that I hear one of these emails, Nick, it just sort of makes me stop and consider my place in the universe and really, how thankful I am to get to talk Tull to you and to the audience.
And to have so many people, I mean, we'd be talking Tull even if we weren't doing it on a podcast.
We talked Tull to ourselves for decades. Yeah,
we would be talking to ourselves regardless, but to have an audience and for people to actually say, hey, I'm listening to this, you make it fun to listen to Tull and really think about Tull. Like I went into this project knowing we would have a very small audience, and it 100% a passion project. But it's so nice that people are actually enjoying it too. That's all.
It's such a bonus.
Yeah.
It's such a bonus track.
It is.
Nick.
Yes. Omen, do you have some, did Mary give you some paper too?
She did. Yeah. I actually have an addendum, another addendum, a coda, if you will. I have a coda to paste onto one of our songs from one of our episodes from this album, actually.
We might need an addendum sting as well.
Ooh, okay. You ready?
Yeah.
It's about to get addendumized! Wow!
I'll put some echo on that or something.
Here's an alternate. Okay. Who's ready for a coda? Here's one more. Let's get ready to review old material.
That one just didn't flow.
No.
Can I try one?
Wasn't good. Yeah, please.
Addendum? Hardly know him. You brought him. You addendum.
I hate that so much.
You hate it that you didn't come up with that. Is that right?
No. Yeah. It's just as ugly as my children, but since it's not mine, I'm like, God. Okay.
Is that a saying? I've never heard that before.
No, that's not a saying.
Oh, just as ugly as my children.
All right. It's about to get addendumized.
Addendum? Hardly know him. You brought him. You addendum.
So cast your mind back to Cry You a Song. Cast your mind back to Cry You a Song, and here it is.
That
I think I'm done.
That was really good.
Thank you. So, in the song, To Cry You a Song, we have the line, closing my dream inside its paper bag.
Oh, are we going to get an actual explanation to this?
Yes, we are, Nick.
Nice.
We had faffed and flapped around the idea that it was some sort of very sad reference of, putting his dreams to bed for the night as he went to visit his wife.
Mm-hmm.
I have some factual evidence which says otherwise. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm very excited.
So, when they were doing all this traveling, instead of having a nice tour suitcase, when they were on this really shoestring budget in the early days, Ian Anderson would carry a lot of his personal possessions inside a paper shopping bag.
Wow. It makes sense.
And he even started incorporating that bag into the stage act, where he was sort of coming up with, this is all sort of like the proto-Aqualung type stuff, where he was sort of developing this odd stage persona.
Yeah, that's slightly homeless-looking character.
The kind of, yeah, exactly. The sort of vagrant weirdo with long hair.
Yeah.
The paper bag was part of that, but it also functioned as literally
his suitcase.
As his suitcase, yeah. And guess who attributes the use of the paper bag to himself? Guess where Ian Anderson got the original idea of using the paper bag?
Martin Barr?
Incorrect. It's Jeffrey Hammond.
Ah, good old Jeffrey.
Apparently Jeffrey used to carry his stuff around in a paper shopping bag, and Ian Anderson thought, that's a wonderful idea. I too shall slip my possessions around in a paper bag.
Yes,
what
obviously.
Could possibly go wrong? But not in that accent, because he was Scottish.
That's pretty cool.
And that's the addendum. Do you feel addendumized?
I've never been addendumized before, so I can't tell for sure.
Wow. What were you doing in college?
So that's it for addenda. Yes? Do you have anything else you wanted to throw in them?
I have not.
Okay. Then I reckon we should probably just dive right into the song that we are to talk Tull about today.
Let's listen to it.
Let's listen to Witch's Promise.
Well, let's listen to it.
Omen.
So, Nick.
Yeah.
Brain me what your brain is thinking. Through words. About this song.
Allow me to brain you. I said before we started recording that I get this song, at least when I'm thinking about it, I get this song confused with Teacher.
Yes, and I made fun of you.
And you made fun of me. But, you great big jerk, this was a single, and the B-side of that single was Teacher.
No kidding. This was the A-side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was in fact the last standalone single from the group that wasn't taken from an LP. Meaning, I'm not going to produce a song just to be a single. If you want a single to go on the radio, then
take it off our album.
Yeah, exactly.
You big so-and-so.
You big so-and-so.
Wow.
This is the first recording to feature John Evan on keyboard.
That's magnificent.
Even though it's the tail end of Benefit, and I think we've technically heard him prior to this, the recording of this song.
Chronologically, this is the first time that he recorded with Jethro Tull.
Exactly.
Now, we should remind ourselves that John Evan played with Ian Anderson back in the days of the Blades.
The Days of the Blades.
The Days of the Blades, and also the John Evan Band, and also the John Evan Smash, under which name they were playing after the departure of John Evan, which is sort of amusing.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So they smashed John Evan out of the band?
Smashed him out. No, I think he had other things to do.
So the John Evan band, was that contemporary to Tull?
No, it was pre-Tull. It was one of the proto-Tull bands.
So was Ian in that one?
Ian was.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. It seems that in those days, there were a lot of bands who were being formed and breaking up all over the place. And some of those scenes, some of the local scenes would be a bit incestuous. You know, they would swap musicians and a band would break up. And
yeah.
I mean, it's just like Mick Abrams breaking off to form Bloodwind Pig.
Sure. With who knows how many other members that he had been with at one point, or
some of whom I think they had actually played with Tull earlier when they were the John Evan band. I mean, there's one fellow, I think a drummer who had been part of the John Evan Smash and then subsequently became part of Bloodwind Pig without ever having been in Jethro Tull.
Huh. That's a. It seems like it was such a small world at that point.
And there was so much energy going on. I mean, if you think about it from a macro point of view, I imagine all these musicians as like electrons just busting off of their different atoms and smashing into each other, because there's just so much energy that's happening around rock and roll at this time. I mean, it was really quite close to the big rock and roll bang, if you will.
Yeah.
We're still in the early days of the rock and roll universe.
Yeah, the planets are still forming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A little more about John Evan. He was sharing a flat with Ian Anderson at the time and agreed to perform as a session musician. And basically that led him to joining the band full time. And this song has really gorgeous string in it.
It sure does. Who were those string players?
It's not actually, I mean, it is a string, but it's a mellotron. It's John Evan playing the mellotron, which is a keyboard.
I thought they stopped making those movies.
I forgot. I hope so. I sure hope so. Marky Mark dropped out of it a while ago. So the mellotron is a tape replay keyboard that can emulate a string section. So I think each key has just a single string note, or maybe like a string sting, and you just put them together that way. So it's basically like a really early synthesizer, I guess.
That is insane.
And that really gorgeous string, but it is a recording of a string.
That's so insane.
You know, because a synthesizer.
Yeah.
The definition of synthesizer is it basically creates that sound from whole cloth, but this is playing a sound that was played already.
It's so convincing. It really sounds like a little quartet that they hired.
Not only that, but it does have that feeling of the other Tull strings that we hear later on, which most are Dee Palmer, I believe, once Dee joins the band.
Arranged by or played by?
I think. Arranged. I think Dee does a lot of the arranging. But, you know, honestly, maybe later stuff Ian does as well. But this is somehow, and maybe I'm completely biased just because I've been listening to all of their albums and it's all mixed back in my mind. Yeah. And only now am I starting to really think of who's doing what.
Right.
But I feel like, listen to these strings and then go listen to the strings in War Child. They sound similar.
Right.
You know, maybe it's John Evan doing the strings in that too. I don't know.
I'm not saying that all Scottish people are stingy. I am saying that that at this time, the band was on a very tight budget.
Sure.
And I can just imagine the moment when John Evan, to his flatmate over a half-heated can of Irish stew, was like, hey, Ian, there's this machine that can replicate the sound of strings and sound like an entire, 8-piece string section. I can just imagine Ian's eyes like lighting up with money saved and music able to happen. And so Mellotron was brought down to the recording studio.
They promised him an Allspark.
Yeah.
I don't think Allspark TM. I don't think.
Thanks for covering our butts there.
I don't think that's a Scottish thing. I think that's a shoestring budget. Like, what can we do to get that sound that we really want without paying for a full session with even a quartet?
Yeah, which we can't afford
unless some people who would be willing to play.
Right.
Which I wouldn't be surprised if Ian could scrounge together a quartet.
I don't know. I think at this point they were pretty insular. I think that they mostly knew each other. And
sure.
Ian Anderson certainly isn't going out to parties and chatting up string players. And
yeah, fair enough.
What is it called? Rubbing the skin? Skinning the elbows?
What?
What?
Rubbing elbows.
rubbing alcohol elbows.
Rubbing the skin.
Greasing palms? No, that's something else.
That's like bribery.
That's like bribery. Hey,
no, it is bribery.
I'll give you $10 to say that that's like bribery.
Only if you rub my skin.
Yeah, wow, amazing. And and the effect that the addition of the keys and the mellotron has on this song is just incredible. It makes it so rich. It makes it so dense. We literally haven't even talked about the song yet.
Yeah. And the strings don't come in until at least halfway through. I forgot they were in there, so I was really surprised. Every time I hear strings come in, any Tull song, anytime I hear strings come in, I'm just, it takes it to another level. It really does. Let's
jump in to the brass tacks. Ouch.
Yeah. Do you want to do musical brass tacks or lyrical brass tacks?
Let's do lyrical.
Okay.
Nick.
Yeah.
WTF.
Why? I always let you ask me this one.
Yeah. What is this song about? What is this song about?
I could tell you what Teacher's about. I can't. I don't.
Like, when you listen to this song, what is the story in your head?
I have a tendency to be naive when it comes to lyrics and just like take it for the surface value.
So to be literal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're a Taurus.
I got nothing on that.
Okay, so your literal interpretation of this then is what?
Talk Taurus to me. But you always come up with like an underlying meaning, something there, and I don't think that has anything to do with you being a Pisces. Except you have to be drunk to understand it. Is that what we're
Pisces
determining here?
Aren't drunk. They're just fishes.
They like the liquid.
So in terms of your literal approach, what literally do you think this song is about? What does it do for you? Or is it just one of those things you listen to and you're like, it's a jam. It's a romper, if you will.
I think I would certainly not call this a romper. I think it is a jam, though. I'll give you jam.
I'll take jam.
I think I stopped trying to understand it.
Yeah.
After listening to it so many times without being able to really decipher it.
Mm-hmm,
I think it became one of those where it's like, okay, the nice flute's in there. I'll listen to it because it's a nice sounding song. But listening to it again and looking at the lyrics and reading along, it definitely feels like there's some sort of allegory there. But okay, yeah, jump. So I feel like there's an allegory there because there's an allegory to every fairy tale. And this is a fairy tale.
Go on.
I can't tell you what the allegory is, but
Can you
it
tell me
feels
what the
like
fairy tale is?
It feels like a fairy tale, like an adult fairy tale. Like it.
Ooh.
Normally, a fairy tale happens to a kid, you know, and it's a warning tale.
Hansel and
This
Gretel.
feels like it's happened to exactly. But this feels like it's happened to an adult man.
The fool, if you will.
Sure, yeah. Your touchstone or your.
Well, so this is definitely not autobiographical. This is definitely not.
No.
I'm flying to London to see my sweetie.
Yeah.
This is like, and I think this is why I love this song so much. This is like from the glade of pure imagination that is the mind of Jethro Tull. Like, we are in the gumdrop forest right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's really coming from a place of ease with his songwriting and a place of, even though the lyrics are quite mixed in tone and sort of dark, there's a lightness and an easiness with which he's singing. Perhaps because he's not the protagonist. He's not the one struggling in the song.
Huh.
I do think that there's a warning, an implicit warning in this, but I mean, I can't quite figure it out. What I do get out of it is this repeating motif of autumn, leaves falling, red, yellow, brown, all the same.
Yep. Meanwhile, leaves are still falling.
Yep. Even washed clean by the water, lay outside in the rain.
Leaves falling red, yellow, brown, all of the same. My leaves are still falling, just on the outside in the rain. Washed clean by the water.
You know, there's this kind of inevitable autumnality, autumnalness, autumnticity,
A-tum-tum,
fallishness.
a-tum-tum.
But here's the other thing: is that I feel like he's addressing various. He's not addressing one person.
Yeah.
Through the song, it changes. He's first speaking to the person that we could call the fool.
Uh-huh.
The we could assume the man that's being acted upon, and then sometimes he's talking to the witch.
Oh. No. See, are you talking about the last verse? Oh, yeah. No. See, I think that last verse is speaking to the man's family or his wife or something like that. Explaining, oh, he's not going to be back. He's
been enchanted.
He's been enchanted. He kissed a witch in the woods.
You know what?
Don't stay up for him.
You know what this almost feels like to me? And this is why I think it reminds me so much of Songs from the Wood. It feels like it's connected to some of that really ancient English sort of folk mythology. It reminds me of the story of Tam Lin. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that there's a song? There's certainly some songs about it. It's also a legend. Tam Lin is a man who gets caught by the fairy queen, basically, and whisked away to fairyland. And then various things happen in the various versions as to whether or not he gets out. But it feels like that kind of thing. It sort of feels like, you know, the mortal entering the realm of the supernatural or the half in this world, you know, the magical.
Yeah.
And getting somehow trapped or half trapped.
Yeah. He's overstepped his boundaries, and those boundaries are there for a reason. Let him be the lesson.
Right, because whatever the promise is, he's not benefiting. He's not benefiting from it.
Yeah, that's the thing. The witch's promise would theoretically be something she promises to him.
I would imagine. The witch's promise was coming.
But we don't know what that is.
No, we don't. It's not explicit.
Yeah, and So it's first verse, witch's promise was coming. Second verse, witch's promise was coming. Then we have the bridge. Third verse, the witch's promise is turning.
Ooh, so don't wait up for him. He's going to be late.
So first and second verse are talking to the fool. It's past tense. The witch's promise was coming. Last verse, talking to the family or whatever, the witch's promise is turning, meaning she's come to collect her debts.
Or the promise is turning into something else.
Oh, yeah. It's the truth is being revealed as to what it actually is. But we don't know what it is.
We don't know. Even the beginning, though, lend me your ear while I call you a fool.
Lend me your ear while I call you a fool.
It just has that kind of ancient mummers show.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of storytelling.
Absolutely. Gather around my children, listen to the tale.
Listen to the tale of the 18th century seed driller.
Of this dude who now has the ears of an ass because he fell in love with the fairy queen.
Or he's a stone statue out in the in the forest.
Yeah, it's they found a stone that vaguely looks like a human, and then the story gets passed down from generation to generation.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something that we're missing. No, I do. I feel like all of this is 100% on point, and I feel like there's some layer of the Ian Anderson onion that we have not, that we with our dull knives have not reached.
I cannot agree more. I also cannot fathom what it would be.
Yeah. This is definitely one of the songs, and one of the few so far, that has me pretty well stumped in terms of its content.
Yeah. This is one of the few that I would, in an interview, ask him about this song.
Oh, I thought, I imagined you being interviewed by someone. And then Bill Moyers is like, so Nick, tell me about A Witch's Promise.
Well, Bill, I would love to ask that exact same question to Ian Anderson.
Oh, that was nice. That was very deft of you.
I like this song. It's even more of a pickle to me now.
It's more infuriating to me. Like, if I didn't think that the music for this song was so brilliant and so ebullient, one of those is a word. If it was just sort of like a standard Scoot-to-Doo Tull song and it had these weird lyrics, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, it's like a thing. But because it's so brilliant and so well crafted, and the lyrics aren't opaque exactly, but they're not exactly transparent. They're that thing in between. What's that called?
Not opaque and not in between?
No, not opaque and not transparent.
Isn't opaque slightly see-through?
No, opaque is the one that's totally not see-through. Oh, translucent.
There you go.
Translucent. You know what's translucent, Nick?
What is translucent?
A single layer of an onion.
I mean, it depends on the...
It's separated from the rest of the layer.
Oh, there you go.
Translucent. Yeah, that bright enough flashlight. I've been holding flashlights to onions for days, Nick, getting ready for this.
No, it doesn't work.
Nope. Yeah, this song is incredible. It's going to haunt me tonight.
It's really... I think I've as much as I liked it, I think I've got a little more of an appreciation for this song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Us really trying to dig into it. And I'm definitely going to be listening to it more regularly and with different ears now. Okay. I'm going to turn back on the problem solving ears.
Love it.
And try to really I want to know. Somebody please write in and let us know your thoughts.
I also do think that this song is so good for this season. Like, this song makes me feel like I've got on my new corduroy jacket and I'm walking down to the farmer's market to buy some butternut squash, and I'm having a spiced latte on my way down there.
To me, it's less, it's more bucolic. It's walking through the woods. You can hear that whoosh, whoosh, whoosh as you're walking through like the ankle deep leaves, you know?
I do know what you mean.
And a lot like...
Maybe you have a walking stick?
The secondary smell for our scented candle from last week. It's that there's that smell of the leaves as they're starting to rot, but it's that bright, the leaves are still bright. They've just fallen, but they're starting to rot. There's a little,
maybe you have
as beautiful as it,
a crisp apple in your pocket.
Yeah. And as beautiful as it is, there's always that hint of death. You don't get that smell without death, without rot.
Right.
Yeah.
Just a hint of death.
Just a hint of death. That's how I like my soup.
Well, on that note...
You want to cover anything musically? I think you're about ready to wrap up, but do you want to address anything musically?
I think we said it. It's brilliant. It's so layered. It is Martin Barre showing off that he is not just an electric guitarist, but also an acousticat as well.
Yeah, it's some really nice acoustic in this.
It's so gorgeous.
Ian's flute is really nice.
Ooh, it's so delightful.
John Evans' piano, even far before the mellotron, before that string comes up, which comes out of nowhere about halfway through and just tickles me every time. His piano is really, really nice. It's super subtle.
The whole thing is so effortless, it feels.
Yeah. It is an equinox dance of a song for Jethro Tull.
It is an effortless, effervescent, euphoric
equinox. Eulogy?
Yeah.
No, it's too much.
It's a witchy wow wow. It's a placid promise. It's a placid pocket of promises.
Too much. Too far. So I think that's a good, a decent wrap up for Witch's Promise.
I think that if we talk any more about this song, we will be trapped by the witch, and you will find us next autumn standing here in a pile of leaves, still thinking about this song. I think we should get out while we can,
for everyone's safety. Yeah.
I'm afraid we have to stay here in podcast land, but there's no reason why you nice people can't go out into the real world and enjoy your day. But before you do, we would like you to release us from the confines of this self-made prison by giving us the magical totem of a 5-star review.
Make us a witch's promise that you'll give us a review.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah, Omen?
What are we listening to next week?
Next week is the third bonus track off of Benefit, Just Trying to Be.
Oh.
It's a nice little mellow one.
Yeah. Until then,
I'm Nick McGill.
I'm Omen Sade.
We are Feckless Momes.
And this is Talk Tull to Me.
Talk Tull to Me is a proud member of the Feckless Momes Audio Network. Where did I put that eye of newt?